You don't wake up one morning feeling powerful just because you've decided to walk away. No, it feels like something has died, like there's been a funeral in your soul. Only no one else was invited, especially not him. And the hardest part, he doesn't even realize what he's lost, not yet. You sit with that silence, don't you? The kind that wraps around your chest and makes you question everything. Did it ever mean anything? Was I ever really seen? You scroll through your memories like pages in an old book. Some pages folded, some stained with effort, all of them heavy. That's where this begins. Carl Jung once said that every relationship is a mirror, a reflection of who we are inside. And when a woman chooses to leave, especially not in anger, but in quiet peace, she does more than walk away. She shatters that mirror. The man is left staring at the floor, unaware that his reflection has cracked. Not yet, but it will hit him, slowly, quietly, deeply. Let me ask you something. Has this ever been your story? Have you ever walked away and felt like you were the only one grieving something that the other person never acknowledged? If so, I want you to tell me in the comments. What finally made you walk away? Not for revenge, not for attention, but for your own peace. Your story matters, and someone else reading it might need your words to feel understood. And before we go further, if this message already speaks to something buried inside you, something raw and honest, consider subscribing. Not for me, but for yourself. Because this space is for women who feel deeply, love fully, and are tired of doing it in silence. And stay with me until the end, because there's something you need to hear. A truth most people overlook. And it might just change how you see everything that's happened. When a woman walks away, the first thing a man often feels isn't heartbreak. It's not longing or sadness or even regret. It's a blow to his ego, because before he ever processes what he's lost, he's already trying to make sense of what he no longer controls. And that control, your emotional availability, your explanations, your constant presence, that was the safety net he relied on far more than he ever admitted. Carl Jung described the ego as the mask we wear, the version of ourselves we present to the world. For many men who haven't done inner work, that mask is built not on self-awareness but on how much influence they have over someone else's emotions. And as long as you were still replying, still explaining, still showing up, to try again he felt secure, not necessarily loved, just powerful. But when you stopped, when your replies faded into silence, when you no longer tried to be understood, when your energy turned inward, that's when something shifted. Because your silence doesn't sound like distance to him. It sounds like rebellion. It disrupts the image he had of himself, the illusion that he was still at the center of your world. At first, he might act indifferent, cold, sarcastic even. But that reaction isn't strength. It's resistance. It's a shield against the realization that something foundational has cracked. Because for the first time, he's faced with a version of reality where he no longer has a claim over you. And that silence you gave him, it's louder than any words you ever said. It echoes through the parts of him that depended on your attention to feel valid. And the most ironic part? He doesn't even realize yet that it's not love he's mourning. It's control. That's what stings first. And soon something deeper will start to rise beneath it. There's something strange that happens in the quiet after you leave. At first, he fills the space you left with noise, distractions, conversations, pretending he's unaffected. But as the days pass and the silence remains, something deeper begins to stir. A voice he hasn't heard in years. His own. Not the version he shows the world, but the one buried beneath pride, distraction, and denial. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the unconscious part of us where we store everything we've been taught to reject. Vulnerability, fear, shame, need, the parts of a man he's never been allowed to fully express. And while you were there offering love without conditions, that shadow stayed asleep, quiet, tamed by your presence, because you unknowingly carried his pain for him, absorbing what he didn't want to feel. But the moment you walk away, that buffer disappears, and now there's no one left to soothe him, no one to hold his silence for him. The emptiness he used to pour into your hands has nowhere to go, so it turns inward. He starts to hear himself, really hear himself for the first time, and it's unsettling, uncomfortable, loud in all the wrong ways. That's when the questions begin. Not out loud, but in the back of his mind, where his ego can't silence them. Why did she leave? Why didn't I do more? What part of me pushed her away? He may try to drown those thoughts out with someone new, with forced laughter, with denial. But your absence has left an imprint, and the shadow is no longer sleeping. What hurts isn't just that you're gone, it's that he no longer has a place to run from who he really is. And when he sees himself clearly for the first time, the image isn't as strong, as noble, or as confident as he once believed. It's raw, exposed, human. There comes a moment, often in complete stillness, when he begins to see the truth. Not the version he clung to, not the excuses, but the raw reflection left behind by your absence. And that reflection doesn't flatter him. It doesn't reassure. It confronts. Jung once said, "We do not see things as they are, we see them as we are." And when you left, you didn't just leave a void. You left a mirror he wasn't ready to look into. At first, it's easy for him to dismiss it. She was too much, too emotional, too demanding. But over time, that mirror becomes harder to ignore. And what it shows him isn't you, it's him, his unspoken fears, his withheld love, the parts of him that failed you when all you wanted was connection. He remembers the quiet moments you held space for him while he turned away. He remembers the times you forgave, the times you softened, the times you believed in him more than he did in himself. And suddenly those memories don't feel warm, they feel like shame, because deep down he knows you were the one holding it all together, the one who stayed through the storms, even when your hands were shaking. And now, without your gaze, without your faith in him, he feels exposed, unanchored, small. It's not the grand gestures he misses, it's the way you made him feel like more than he was. Like maybe, just maybe, he could become the man you saw inside him. And now that version of him has vanished, because you're no longer there to reflect it. What's left is a man standing in front of a mirror, asking himself a question he never dared to face. Why couldn't I rise to the love she gave so freely? Regret doesn't knock loudly. It doesn't scream in the middle of the night. It creeps in slowly, like dust settling after a storm. And for most men, it doesn't come when you leave. It comes long after, when the noise fades, when the new distractions stop shining, when the silence you left behind becomes the only thing still speaking. At first, he convinces himself he's fine. He moves on, at least on the surface. He fills the gaps with other faces, other conversations, other stories that don't carry your depth. He tells himself he didn't lose much, that it wasn't that serious, that he's unaffected. But the unconscious, as Jung taught, doesn't care about appearances. It waits, it watches. And when he finally slows down, when he's alone with himself, it begins. It might be something small, a song you loved playing in a cafe, a scent on someone else's coat, the street you used to walk together. Suddenly, he feels it. Not like heartbreak, but like a deep, quiet emptiness. Not a pain that burns, but a weight that sits heavy in his chest. He realizes he doesn't just miss you, he misses how you made him feel human, understood, steady, safe. He remembers how you held space for him, how you spoke gently when he was harsh, how you believed in him when he didn't even recognize his own worth. And the worst part? By the time he sees it all clearly, you're already healing. You're already learning to live without needing him. You're building something new from the silence he left behind. That's when regret truly lands, not as I want her back, but as I can't go back. He sees the door he once ignored, now firmly closed. And for the first time, he realizes it wasn't just love he lost. It was a chance to become something greater with you. People often mistake leaving for strength. They think when a woman walks away, it's a declaration of superiority. Look at me now, shining without you. But the truth, the quieter truth, is that you didn't walk away to prove anything. You walked away because there was nothing left to give. Not because your love ended, but because it was killing you to keep offering it where it wasn't honored. Carl Jung said that real love is born from vulnerability, and that's what you gave again and again. Not passively, but with your whole being. You stayed through his confusion, his detachment, his emotional absences. You stayed hoping he'd meet you halfway, that something would shift, that he'd finally see the depth of what you carried. And for a long time, maybe too long, you made excuses for him, for the silences, for the disappointments, for the way he pulled away just when you got closer. But loving someone so deeply shouldn't mean abandoning yourself. And at some point, your soul whispered what your mind tried to ignore. You can't keep saving him if it costs you your own peace. So you left, not with bitterness, not with a need for revenge, but with heartbreak. Because choosing yourself after loving someone so fully feels less like triumph and more like mourning. What he feels when you leave is far more than emptiness. It's the echo of everything you once held for him, the belief, the nurturing, the softness. And when that disappears, he doesn't just lose a woman, he loses the version of himself that only existed when you believed in him. That version dissolves the moment you stop showing up, and he knows it, quietly, painfully. So no, you didn't walk away to win. You walked away because you finally remembered who you were before shrinking to fit someone else's growth. And there's not just power, it's healing. If this message touched something in you, subscribe. Not because you owe this channel anything, but because you deserve to keep hearing truths that honor how deeply you feel. And in the comments, share what made you leave, and more importantly, what you've discovered about yourself since you did. Because your story matters. And healing starts the moment you speak it aloud. And now, that message I told you about in the beginning, it's this. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. Let this be the moment you choose peace, not just once but every day forward.